Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mindset Matters. Today is all about perspective, the way you choose to look at your situation, how you choose to show up in the world, how are you looking at the problems in your life, because I believe that that's what really creates our reality. So if I'm allowing myself to be a little bit vulnerable today, the truth is that I recently had a very challenging month. I was super negative, you guys. I was questioning so much about my situation. I was overthinking to the millionth degree. I felt lonely. I wasn't a good person to be around. I could feel this negative energy just exuding off of me, and I felt uncomfortable in social situations because I didn't want to be this negative person to be around. But I was just in this low period. Okay, and I share this because as someone who is obviously so passionate about mindset and how much mindset can impact our reality and our lives and our quality of life, I can't stress enough how you choose to look at your situation changes everything, right? And this is perspective. So perspective can be defined as a particular attitude toward or a way of regarding something, a point of view, right? Perspective is your point of view. And the way you choose to look at your situation is everything, right? So we can have two people, okay? Two people are in the exact same situation. Let's say that two people just recently lost their job. Okay, we've got person A over here. Person A is bitter, you guys. Person A is negative. They're annoyed. They're pissed off. They're angry at the world. They should not have lost their job. How could this be happening to them, okay? It's not donkey, but it's person A. Over here we have person B. You know what? Person B is choosing to say, okay, I think this happened for the best. They feel like they can get another job and that they know that they'll be okay. They're going to figure it out. So who do you want to be? Person A, negative Nancy over here, or person B? Let's call person B positive Pete. Okay, they know that they'll figure it out. I mean, who do you think is going to be more resilient in this situation, right? Who's going to be ready to take the necessary action to get a new job, to show up and have a good interview, right? Person A is so negative and bitter that even if they get a new interview, they're probably going to be exuding this bad energy, and they're in a negative headspace. They're not going to be able to get out of that as easy as someone who feels like, hey, yes, this is an unfortunate situation, but hey, I'll figure it out. It's for the best. So me this past month, okay, let's go back to my situation for a minute. Because of what was happening in my life, and I won't get into specifics, but it was just a lot. I moved across the country, okay? I was dealing with some things with my friendships. I realized some relationship type behaviors that I have that are not very healthy. Turns out I suck at boundaries, you guys. I'm going to have to talk about this separately, but turns out I'm not very good at setting clear boundaries in my relationships. And I try to be there for everyone, and I'm not always good at, making sure people are showing up for me properly. Okay, so that's another topic, but this was a huge realization, and I kind of went through this period of how did I not know this about myself? How long has this been happening? I started replaying all these things. So really, I just fell into this really negative headspace, right? My perspective of my situation was quite negative. And I just want to pause to say that everyone experiences dips, right? And I believe that we're meant to be challenged in life, of course. And I think that going through hard times, big or small, gives us the opportunity to grow, to evolve, to become a better version of ourselves. And I guess just as someone who is so aware of how powerful mindset is, to see myself, now that I'm out of it, but to see myself caught in that negative space, I can see how easy it is to just stay there and ruminate, right? And get in this victim mentality. Because if I blame, everything about my situation on like outside forces, things outside of my control, then I'm off the hook, right? Oh, I'm just a victim. So if we go back to this job example, if person B, they're not playing the victim. They're saying, okay, I have to step up and I have to take action to get a new job. Person A is so playing the victim. Poor me, everything sucks. Why is this happening to me? And again, it's the same situation, but the way that they're looking at it completely determines how they feel about their life right now. And so if there are things in your life that aren't going well, how are you choosing to look at it, right? Are you playing the victim? Are you working through it or getting caught in it? And this is a big one. I really think that the only way out is through, and you have to work through these challenges. Me, last month, I was going through it, but I was determined to work through it. I started reading a lot about attachment styles. I started being more honest with my friends about how I was feeling about things. I started to learn more about boundaries and how to set clear boundaries. So it's yes, I was going through it and sad and a bit negative, but at least I was actively taking action to work through it, right? And not just playing the victim. And this is a huge, huge point because, again, if you blame everything, oh, it's this fault, this is because of this, or, you're just not taking accountability for your situation, then yeah, you're not going to have any control because you're just allowing yourself to play a victim. So you have to be accountable. Things might not be your fault, but they are your responsibility, right? It might not be my fault that I have these patterns in relationships that I wasn't aware of, but it is my responsibility to do something about it, okay? So again, I don't believe that we can ignore our challenges, but you can choose to work through it and not ruminate in the victim mindset. With this idea that perspective changes everything, I think the main problem here, the main issue is that people often unconsciously, subconsciously look at their situations super negatively. And as a result, it's everything is bad, everything is happening to me, I'm unlucky, and the problem really is that you get stuck in this habitual negative thinking, okay? And as humans, we are wired for survival. And to be wired for survival, you have to be aware of potential threats. And as a result, our brains are actually wired to see the potential negatives, to see the potential threats around us to keep us safe, rather than naturally seeing the good. So it's actually easier to be negative than it is to be positive. It takes work to be positive. It takes work to believe that things are happening for your highest good. And even when I was in this negative space, it's I lost sight of that for a bit. It was I couldn't be present in my situation, right? I was just thinking about all these things that were happening to me rather than just focusing on, okay, one day at a time, what can I do today to, to just be present, but to better myself, and I was trying, but I was so stuck in this victim mentality. And it's something that I haven't experienced for a really long time, right? Since my kind of mindset journey, I guess, of really being able to show up more positively and seeing the changes. Because it's you have to believe it before you see it, right? Which is really what faith is, or being a little bit delusional, right? Anyone who says, oh, I was just delusional and then things worked out, it's well, that's kind of faith, right? It's you show up in a way that says, I'm showing the world what I want back, what I want to see in the world. And I really believe what you put out gets reflected back to you. So really, when we experience hard times, what if experiencing this hard time is meant to help you grow? What if overcoming the challenge you're facing right now is the thing that's going to get you your next big idea or some profound sense of peace? I think going through something challenging, when you come out the other side, you're wow, I'm like Vic 2.0 right now. Like, I feel so good. I see my growth. I see how I'm doing better and how I'm showing up more authentically, right? Because what I realized with this whole lack of boundary setting was like, I have a fear that if I ask for support, if I ask for what I need from people in my life, that I'm asking too much. And I know that's not true. And I don't know where that stems from. I have struggled with this since a kid. Since I was a child, I've had a hard time expressing how I feel verbally. I just didn't realize it was like as bad as it was. To be honest, I had no idea. And then it hit me and I was like, what the heck? Okay. But now that I'm kind of on the other side, is like I'm actively working on this a part of myself, I can see my growth. I'm so proud at how authentic I've been showing up. And it's like the more authentic you show up, the easier it becomes. Okay. So again, I think I'll do a whole other episode about boundaries and like, I'm going to wait till I work on this more and practice this stuff more before I talk about it. But I just think like, what if you can believe that everything is happening for your highest good? Even the bad things, the hard times, they're actually saving you from something worse, or they're actually just steering you in the right direction, right? Because sometimes things happen and we're like, why is this happening? This absolutely sucks. And you think it sucks, but the result is like, you don't actually know. If you stayed where you were and the bad thing didn't happen, would you actually be in a good place? Like, you don't know, right? We think of like butterfly effect, like how a teeny tiny change is part of like this bigger system, and one little change can cause a huge effect somewhere else down the line. So in that way, I really think like everything is meant to happen for a reason, even the hard stuff. And if your perspective is, I choose to grow from this, I choose to learn from this, I choose to evolve and become a better version of myself through this, then I think you're doing life right, okay? Because you're not playing the victim. You're saying, hey, this is painful, right? Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Your perspective determines your suffering. You're going to have pain. There's going to be painful things in your life that you have to work through. But are you choosing to suffer? Are you choosing a negative perspective? Because that is your choice. And I see this so often where people are just so caught in this negative mindset. Everything sucks. Everything's frustrating. Everything's hard. And it doesn't have to be. That's your perspective. I get that when you're in the low period, it can be hard to get out. Okay, I saw this in myself last month. I knew that I was overthinking. I knew that I was questioning everything and that wasn't helping, right? I knew. But I was still there. I was still stuck and I was still sad. And I just had to work through it. I had to let myself feel how I felt. And I think sometimes I bounce back from things really quick. This was a situation that was more heavy, and it took me a whole month to kind of go through it. And I think there's no timeline for healing, right? Depending on the thing, depending on the situation. Some things are heavy and take years to really work through. Some things take months, some things take a few days. It depends on what is happening, and I totally get that. But I think if you can choose the perspective of, this is painful, but I will not suffer, and I'm going to get through this, and you know that you can work through it, then ultimately you're helping yourself work through it in a better way, faster. You're actively learning to be more resilient. So to be honest, I'm grateful for this month because I learned so much about myself, and I'm continuing to learn about myself. And now I can do something about it, right? If I didn't know that this part of me existed, I didn't realize I had trouble with these things. Well, if you don't know it, you can't really do anything about it, right? So in that way, it's like I have this opportunity to grow. I have this opportunity to evolve, okay? Vic 2.0. She's back and she's better. So I want to share this quote with you, and then I'm going to share some questions you can ask yourself that might help you shift your perspective if you're feeling negative right now. So the quote is from Stephen Furtick. I always stumble over these names. I gotta practice these before I just read the quote. Stephen Furtick, okay? Your perspective will either become your prison or your passport. It will either confine you to the way things are or launch you into the way things are meant to be. Wow. Okay, let's go back to our job example. Person A, their perspective is their prison. They are in the victim mentality. Things are the way they are. This sucks. I suck for losing my job. Everything sucks. Person B, their perspective is their passport. They're launching themselves into this new version of what things are meant to be. Maybe person B actually wants a new career path, but they've been waiting. They've been holding themselves back because they wanted to play the safe choice. But now that they lost their job, they're actually free to do what they really want to do. Okay? Kind of cool. So rather than playing the victim, rather than blaming everything around you, you're kind of reclaiming your power. You're saying, okay, this is a situation that I'm in. How can I use this to evolve, to grow, to make a good choice for myself, right? And the biggest thing is you got to focus on what you want to see from the world. This is the life mirror, okay? I did a whole episode on that. You should absolutely listen to it. But you have to create the image you want to see, and the world will start to respond to you, okay? Go watch that episode. It's a good one. But the life mirror, you have to put out the energy you want to get back. So you have to choose to be more positive. Okay, so if you're feeling negative, I gotta sneeze. Hold on. One sneeze wonder. I'm usually more of a several sneezes in a row kind of girl. Vic 2.0, she only sneezes once, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so if you're feeling negative right now, I want you to ask yourself, what things or situations in my life do I often see negatively? And what is frustrating about these things? So this could be the small things too, right? Someone does something you don't like. Do you automatically get annoyed? Because you don't have to. Like, that's a choice. You can't control other people. Your perspective is that other people should do things the way you think they should be done. And that's your perspective, but that's not the ultimate truth, right? So what things or situations in your life are you often looking at negatively? And what actually frustrates you? Try to dig deep with this one. Am I frustrated because I think my way is the best way? And so when I see someone doing something a different way and doing it well, it bothers me? I don't know. That's just an example that came up. Okay, number 2. What things do I often complain about? This is a big one, guys. I talk about this a lot, but you should not be complaining ever. There's a difference between venting and complaining. But if you're just complaining about things just to hear your own negative Nancy voice about how the world sucks, like, you are probably not very fun to be around. I'm going to say it, okay? If you are always complaining, it's hard to be around that person. I got to say it. I have someone in my head right now. She sucked to be around. She did. She really sucked to be around. And at one point in my life, I was that person. I was the negative Nancy complaining about everything. So I can see it from both sides. But think about, what are you complaining about? What are you often negative about, big or small? Maybe it's that you lost your job and you're constantly complaining it. Maybe it's just things like traffic or losing your keys or stubbing your toe, or the weather. Like, whatever it is, start taking note of what you complain about. And big one, in what ways does complaining make my situation worse? Think about it. I hope you're writing these down. and really be honest with yourself, okay? Number 4, how can I actively shift my perspective to look at this situation from a different lens? Okay, lenses. Think about the way in which you see the world. Your perspective is like your glasses. Are your glasses really dirty and you need to clean them so you can see from a clearer lens? Or maybe you need to swap them out. Get some cool rose-colored lenses and start looking at the world a little bit better. Okay, so I really believe in the power of working through deep questions. Journaling has been such a staple mindful practice in my life that has really allowed me to uncover a lot about me, work through a lot, and just really journal and think about what I do want in the world and how I can shift my perspective, shift my mindset to attract those things. So if you'd like to do a little bit more journaling to help you reconnect with your true self, what you really want out of life, then I invite you to download my 3-step guide for getting unstuck and discovering your passions. It's going to help you reconnect with yourself, what you want out of life, and help you identify the things that aren't working right now. But I would highly recommend the questions I just asked you a minute ago. Journal about them. Take a few minutes, write down, what do I think about this? How am I looking at my situation? And if you realize you're looking at it negatively, try to think about how you can start shifting. And I have other episodes about how to shift your mindset. I'm thinking about creating like a free guide, something about perspective shifting and how to shift your mindset, because I have a few tricks of like really quickly how you can shift your mindset. So that's on my radar. I just want to help you guys be more positive. Okay, so please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like this, share it with a friend, share it with a negative friend. It's like a little wake-up call for them. Just be like, hey, think you would like this episode. Because you're really negative and I think you should change. Bye. Just kidding. Well, I'm not kidding. Okay, if you have someone in your life that you thought about when I was thinking about negative Nancy's, maybe it's you. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's someone. Share it with them. Maybe this could help them start to be more positive, start to look at their situation a little bit differently. And then you're helping them. You're helping me help them. We're all helping them. Maybe the them is you. We're helping you, okay? So I'm going to leave this here. I hope you have a beautiful week. Remember that you can choose to look at your situation more positively. You can work through whatever you're going through. And you don't have to be a victim. You can choose to be empowered. Okay, you 2.0. That's what we want to see. Okay, have a beautiful week and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.